I never understood Nick's Hatton for the longest time. When I first heard the matchup, I thought, wait, Richard Nixon from Futurama? And I was like, how is it headed
I
to draw?
st-
Bro, it works, trust
I'm
me.
still.
Oh, totally.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome to the first episode of the podcast. I'm very excited to test this out, and with me I have some of my oh-so-favorite mods. Going from left to right, we have Dr. Fiction. Say hi.
Hello.
Yes, he's here. You'll remember him from the Blazing 8 stream that we did about a month ago. Joining us for the first time, however, we have Sakinator 3000. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name's the Raptor.
All right, and then also, last, maybe least, we have True. How are you?
I was doing great until you said that. I was ready for the podcast, and then I'm called probably least.
No, not
This is-
probably, just maybe. You know, I don't like to rank you guys, even though I definitely could if I wanted to.
Don't worry.
Anyway, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And today, yeah, we're doing something very different. We're trying out a podcast. This is literally something that we decided to do on a whim. I'm not kidding. So we have no idea how this is going to work, but we think it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you guys enjoy this kind of thing, we might keep this kind of thing up for a while. Who knows? But for this first episode, we wanted to talk about something that a lot of people have been talking about and will be talking about for the next couple months, which is Death Battle Season 11 predictions. A lot of people have asked me to make a video on this. I don't really like making predictions for things that I don't have a lot of information on, and I'm just going to say right now, we do not have a lot of information on what's coming in Season 11 in any way, shape, or form. So I thought this might be more interesting to get some other people here and just discuss what we think could happen, and that'll be for the first half, and then for the second half, it'll just be whatever the hell we want to talk about. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. We'd love to have you on. And yeah, other than that, are you guys excited?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Great. So there were a few things for Death Battle Season 11 to consider. For one thing, obviously, episode 200 is going to be in the season, assuming they don't switch up the number of episodes. That's a big discussion point on its own right there. I think there's a good chance we could see Wile E. Coyote versus Tom from Tom and Jerry. I don't know why. Something is really pointing in that direction for me.
I think it's because... Oh, right.
The
Oh.
Tournament
Yeah,
of
never-
No.
Champions.
There was nothing like that happened.
Oh, gee, my memory must be foggy then.
Yeah, I think it's very foggy. No, yeah, so
It was Houston, Rick versus Doctor.
you think Rick versus Doctor is happening? That'd be interesting. You mean Doctor Who, right?
No,
Yeah.
Doctor from...
From your doctor's office?
Yeah. Very scary.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a fun. I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would rip Rick apart.
He totally would. Last week I broke my hand and he just sawed it off.
Ah, okay. So he needs to break Rick's hand and then saw it off, and that's the win con right there.
That's the win con, yeah. Right. How's he gonna use his portal gun without any hands?
Exactly. No, yeah, I can see no flaw in your logic. Yeah, so, but yeah, episode 200, obviously that's a big point that we can talk about. Also, there are definitely a lot of other points to consider. There was before the Tournament of Champions, there was the Champion Ballot, and some people are theorizing there could be some episodes from around there that could pop up because it's now been a year. Death Battle's had more than enough time to go through with some of those clearly popular matchups if they want to. I guess, Fiction, we can start with you. Is there anything from the Champion Ballot, if you can remember, that you think has a decent chance for happening now?
From the Champion Ballot, I really think it'd be interesting if they did Among Us versus Fall Guys.
Okay.
It's kind of a meme-emu, but at the same time, it's just, I feel like they could do it pretty easily. Just slip it in here. It's relatively popular.
Mm-hmm.
Not as popular as it used to be, but I still feel like it's got a solid chance.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those like WTF matchups where it's like you kind of want, some people may want to see it happen, and then you still freak out like when it does happen, like, oh my god, like they're actually doing it. It's definitely one of those matchups, and I think those kinds of matchups are definitely, you know, viable. It's just when people start, you know, suggesting like, oh, half the season could be filled with WTF matchups, that's where you start to lose me. But in terms of like a one-off matchup in a season, I definitely think that there's a possibility for that. Sack, do you have anything to add on to that?
For sure, we are maybe getting Gru versus Megamind this season. And I say that because not only is Gru getting a 4th movie, but I'm pretty sure Megamind is also getting a 2nd movie as well on Peacock. Even though I've heard it looks really bad, it would still be a really good time to release the episode.
It does look quite
both
bad.
would be trending around the time, and yeah, they made Megamind look like fucking shit. But...
No, yeah, absolutely. I do think season 11, in a perfect world, season 11 would be like the perfect time to do Gru versus Megamind, because you're probably not going to get another year where both of them are getting more stuff. You know, that would be really cool. Unfortunately, though, I'm not sure if they're going to have enough, like, time to, like, slip it into the season. But I think if it doesn't happen in season 11, I think it's, like, an absolute shoo-in for season 12. That would give them more than enough time to look over the new material. You know, if they already feel a certain way about the episode, they can change how they feel if they need to, and then start producing the episode. So, yeah, season 11, that would be cool. My personal bet is season 12, but we'll see.
I'll quickly talk about the Champion Ballot ones. I think
Sure.
there's 2 likely ones,
Okay.
both of them for the 2D poll. I think Captain America versus Kamen Rider Ichigo is a pretty likely pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other one would be Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I could see that one. I know Death Battle has expressed interest in moving back to 2-on-2 fights, and I definitely want that because I'd like to see Hickam and Toothless versus Hero and Baymax at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby too. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, I think Cap versus Ichigo, I think has a very, very good chance for me. That's probably even the one I would say has the greatest chance for multiple reasons. The biggest one I can think of is that in the Batman versus Captain America commentary video that they made, Ben Singer, I think when Captain America's analysis starts, he starts by saying, "All right, first time we did Cap," which you wouldn't really say unless, you know, you were thinking about using Cap again.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, maybe that was just a weird choice of words. Maybe they're putting Cap against someone else. I don't think they would, but you know, who knows? Yeah, Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby, I think could be cool. Simone versus Kyle, I'd probably put as like number 3 from the 2D selection, but even then, like I'm not sure.
I could see Simone versus Kyle. It's a pretty big fight, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty wanted.
It could be grand in scale.
Yeah, for sure. And on the cast, they've been talking, like they did Simone versus Kyle as a cast episode. They did Simone versus Goku. Like they're definitely like getting more invested in the contents of that fight. And in terms of the 3D side, just so we don't leave that out, my front runner before was Spy versus Agent 47, and it might still be, but I will say that like the more I think about it, with all the Godzilla content that's coming out this year and last year, and also just the fact that they really like the matchup, I think Ghidorah versus Deathwing also has a really good chance.
That one would be pretty cool. Another World of Warcraft representative would be awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Godzilla returning would be awesome. Like a Godzilla character.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're just gonna. I think they're probably gonna bring back Godzilla over Ghidorah. Not because Ghidorah isn't popular or Deathwing isn't popular. I just think if you're gonna represent Godzilla, you're probably gonna bring back Godzilla, especially with how long it's been since he came back. I think he was season 2.
Season 2.
I think season 2 was him versus Gamera.
Yeah.
On top of that, me and a friend actually rewatched Godzilla versus Gamera, if I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were.
Okay. We rewatched it not too long ago, and we both agreed that the animation has not aged well. So I feel like if they do bring Godzilla back, it would be a lot better It'd be a lot better in animation, I guess I could say.
Well, if you're looking for fluidity in your 3D fights, yeah, like there's not a lot of that to be found in one of the earliest ones they've ever done. So yeah, no, absolutely. If like I know the team loves Godzilla as a series. Like if they really wanted to bring Godzilla back, I'm sure they could go way bigger with that. And of course, Godzilla versus Hulk is something that Ben has brought up quite a bit. I have no doubt that regardless in what form, I have no doubt that Godzilla will come back at some point. But I think Ghidorah versus Deathwing could still happen. Because again, you know, this is not the kind of thing that pops up like for half the season, but at least once or twice you always get that one episode where it's like Death Battle just did it because they wanted to do it. Like, it's very clear it was just their decision mostly. And I think it could be one of those, especially after appearing on the Champion Ballot. Like, I think that could give them the motivation to do it.
Right.
And there are some other ones just being thrown out. Personally, I know I've been keeping track of some of the ones they've been talking about on cast and ones that they've like really thought about, or not really thought about doing, but like I know for example, like Michelangelo versus Jay Walker. I know Chad literally said he's going to try to campaign for it for the next season, which of course could mean anything. That's not a guarantee at all. But there are definitely some matchups that they really express interest in. Also, Sly Cooper versus Lupin III. This looks to be like the main Sly Cooper matchup they really like, which I think is worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't
one of my
remember.
favorites.
Was Perry versus Skipper on the 2D poll?
No.
It was
wasn't.
No, I have it in front of me.
Mhm.
I have the entire 2D pool in front of me.
I do think it would be a pretty neat one to drop in season 11. It's pretty wanted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know, I'd love
think,
Perry versus
yeah.
Skipper for sure.
I think Death Battle has, especially last season, really trended towards cartoon matchups, which is why
yeah.
I called out Finn and Jake versus Mordecai and Rigby.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a great time to, you know, especially if they're going to continue, especially with, I think they had some of the higher views of the season, Bill Cord and Rick Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it is very possible they start really considering more cartoon MUs. Thank God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Granted, part of that was chosen from the fans, you know, Bill versus Discord. But even without that, there was still a good amount of cartoons, which I'm certainly very thankful for. Yeah, no, I could see that being an incentive for Finn and Jake, Mordecai and Rigby if they see, like, oh yeah, like it gets a lot of views. Like, yeah, absolutely.
I have kind of a crazy idea for what they could do for season 11.
Sure.
It lost in the Champion Ballot, and it also lost again in the Tournament of Champions.
Oh boy, here we go.
I really think that they could spring a surprise on everyone and do Kratos versus Asura. Like, it'd probably be in the later half of the season. It may be even the finale. But I just feel like that would be such a fun thing to see.
It would be a fun thing to see, but the thing that I can't wrap my head around is, like, I cannot fathom why they would put it in the tournament if they had plans to do it for season 11, unless they didn't have everything finalized yet and they wanted to see how it would do in the tournament and then decide, which would be cool because that means that the two top matchups from the Tournament of Champions get made into episodes the next season, which would be cool, I will admit. But if they had a lot, this is the same thing with Gru versus Megamind. Like, I don't know how much breathing room they have. I don't know how much time they can actually spend on switching things out, because if they have more time, I think, yeah, Gru versus Megamind maybe later after all their new stuff has come out. Kratos versus Asura, sure, again, maybe later, but I don't know how much has already been finalized. It's really hard to say.
Well, we do know from last year when they were doing the champion poll that Bill Cord and Cole Alex were announced in December, and they came out like around May, June, mid-season. So like that's still a fair bit of time they could do to make episodes.
It's so hard to say that, like, these are always so hard because a prediction in and of itself means that you have some kind of reasoning, that there's something to go off of. But for season 11, so far, there is not that much to go off of. A lot of people are saying Joker versus Giorno just from the whole tarot card shtick by itself. And I think that is possible. Like, I think that was supposed to be the JoJo's matchup they wanted to do in season 9, but then it got switched with Tanjiro, Jonathan Joestar for some reason. Don't quote me on that. That might be completely wrong.
I actually have the reasoning for Tanjiro,
okay.
Jonathan. So, originally, Tanjiro's opponent was not Jonathan. It was Deku.
Really?
They were going to full on going to do Deku Tanjiro. And here's the reason why they were going to do Deku Tanjiro over Deku Gon. because they were dead set on Killua versus Misaka. I don't know why they were dead set on that, but I guess the reason why they didn't use Hunter x Hunter then is because they planned to do Kill Sokka. But then, I guess somebody brought up, hey, what if we do Asta for Deku? And they were like, sure. So then Tanjiro got a good opponent.
that is so okay. That is so weird. Like, I'm not doubting you. I really hope this is all true because I don't want to spread misinformation. But
no, this is literally said from Speedy.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, that is so weird because when I first heard Deku versus Asta, I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe not a lot of people wanted this, but I can see why they deliberately chose Asta over Gon because from a certain angle, Deku and Asta do have a lot in common. But now that I'm hearing that was actually like the second choice for him after Tanjiro, let alone Gon, that is strange.
I'm still happy we got what we got, though. Jonathan is one of my favorite characters ever, and he got his best matchup, I think.
Oh yeah, no,
So-
I think I'm not gonna. I don't want to like be the doomer and call it the bad timeline, but I think it would have been a lot worse if they had just dropped. If they were announcing Deku Tanjiro, I do not think the community would have had a fun time.
Oh
with
no, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
We
No.
definitely got the better episode.
And when I saw Tanjiro get revealed or teased with all the other season 9 teases, I remember even in my video I was like, it's obviously Tanjiro. No, sorry, it's obviously Jonathan Joestar. It has to be. And if that actually got met with Tanjiro versus Deku, holy crap! Like I don't know what I would have thought in that moment.
Yeah.
Yo, Zach, do you have any predictions for season 11?
I don't have any predictions well, actually no, I do. But I'm going off from what other people have speculated. The main one being I think John Constantine versus
Raidou.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
I think that's gonna happen mostly due to the fact that somebody pieced together that one of the teaser images looked like I think his cigarette box.
Ooh,
I don't think it's
interesting.
specifically Raidou's cigarette box, but it's a cigarette box on a pentagram, which is like, what do you know Constantine for? Demons?
Yeah, like-
Although
both of them are just
Smoking.
to be fair,
yeah.
Hellboy smokes too.
Yeah.
Hellboy Nero?
That is true.
I honestly, I would prefer that. Not gonna lie, but Constantine Raidou does pique my interest.
I would just think Constantine Raidou would be a cooler matchup just because of how different they are. Like Hellboy versus Nero would be awesome and action-packed. There's no doubt about that. But like Constantine and Raidou are just so much more different in how they fight and how they work. I think it'd be a much more interesting episode to see.
See, for me, that's a detective. I know I said this in the Dream Season video. That's a detective fight that I think like really works for Death Battle because there's two sides to them. You have the detective side and you have the combat side. You can mesh them well together. There are some other detective battles where I hear it and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like I don't know if Death Battle is the right place to make that comparison. Like if you want to compare their detective ability, go right ahead, but like, do they really work the most in this kind of format? I don't know. But Constantine Raidou, I think, definitely do.
Is this the part where we bring up Columbo Light and Light Walter White?
I guess so.
Oh god.
Because you were talking about the whole detective thing, and like, I think you can at this point almost predict this for any season, like Columbo.
Yeah.
Because it's the new Liam matchup.
And it's like
the
Gru,
new Liam's new toy.
it's like Gru versus Megamind. Like everyone's putting it into like every season prediction. Same with Mysterio versus Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Like I still think Mysterio versus Scarecrow, even though it didn't happen last season and I really thought it was going to, like I still think it's one of the biggest Marvel versus DC fights they haven't done. It's still a really good candidate for Halloween. Like every year it feels like it could happen.
As much as I want it to,
Mhm.
I still would prefer Freddy Krueger versus Pennywise in season 11, mostly, and yes, it is entirely due to my bias for those characters, but I wouldn't be against Mysterio versus Scarecrow if it does happen, because from what I've heard, it does sound really trippy.
Hey man, like, yeah, both of those, you know, could go super hard with the visuals, and I think Freddy versus Pennywise definitely has some things that Mysterio versus Scarecrow doesn't. But again, going for more of a prediction side, it's hard. Like, how much of the Tournament of Champions is off the table for next year? Because on the one hand, it's hard for me to believe that they would have chosen 32 matchups, like 32 popular matchups that 100% were not already being planned. But I feel like they still would have stayed away from stuff that was already being planned, like, as much as possible. So it's hard.
I actually have a little bit of a counterpoint to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do have a bit of a counterpoint to that. They put Composite Ryu Goku on there before we knew that Goku vs. Superman 3 was happening, which I have no clue why they did that.
Yeah. So it's hard to say. Like, who knows what the selection process even was like. Like, I'd love to see Sackboy versus Maxwell in season 11, but I don't know what the chances are for that, you know? It like, I literally have zero idea how much lenience they were giving in terms of choosing the tournament matchups. I have no idea.
Since we were on the topic of holidays, I have 2 matchups I think could cover 2 holidays.
Please say Grinch versus Jack Skellington.
I was not going to say that.
Ah, damn it.
I was thinking that what could happen is for President's Day and for the election, they could either do Funny Valentine versus Senator Armstrong and or Uncle Sam versus Captain Britain. They've done casts on those matchups. They've liked both those matchups. And I just feel like it could be a really fun. They could both be really fun. Britain versus Sam is another Marvel versus DC, but they're a lot less well known, so you could still be in for some surprises. And Valentine versus Armstrong is popular, and it's very memey. A lot of people want to just Senator Armstrong's analysis.
Oh yeah,
and Senator Armstrong.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually another one I forgot to mention. Kind of tying in with Sly versus Lupin and Michelangelo versus Jay. Like, that's another one that I know they said, like, oh yeah, we could do this for President's Day or for the election. Like, that is something they straight up said themselves. So that's another one where if you're looking at matchups that, like, you know, they've talked about before, that is one you could go with. But I guess bringing it back to something I was already saying, now that we're back on the topic of JoJo's, a lot of people are saying Joker versus Giorno could show up just from the whole shtick of the tarot cards alone. Which I think, you know, again, the fact that they were already thinking about doing that, you know, a couple seasons back, I think, you know, they have all the resources clearly to do it. Would you guys be excited for that one?
Kind of. I like part 5 of JoJo.
Oh boy, I've let hell loose.
Oh god. Here, I'll go first.
Sure, yeah.
I like part 5 of JoJo, and I like Persona 5 just from the little bit I've played of it. But I just feel like there's been so much debate and heatedness over that matchup that people are just tired of it. Like, and we just want to get it over with, but at the same time, I still feel like it could be a really cool episode. It's just, we know that it's Goku versus Superman 1 all over again. Here come the angry fanboys.
Right.
I've heard more people talk about how heated Joker Giorno is, more than I've actually seen heat over it. I think people overblow it a little bit. I'm gonna be so real. I have, like, a boss in the Discord server, he made a meme, and it's like, Joker versus Giorno haters. It's making the 900th millionth joke about going into the bunker this week.
Oh, Jesus. Here's my stance on this. I've said this, like, I think like a year ago or something, but I'll reiterate myself, because I haven't really changed my opinion very much. For something like Joker versus Giorno, for one thing, I think the matchup is pretty cool. Like, I just think it'd be a cool episode. I think the characters are interesting. I think it'd be a very interesting matchup to talk about, regardless of what the fans have already said about it, you know? The thing that I kind of have a hard time wrapping my head around, though, is when people say that, oh, you know, there's going to be so many arguments when this episode comes out, because there are already so many arguments about it. Like, it becoming an episode will put some spotlight on the matchup for like a month or something, but I see it as like a Gojo versus Makima situation where it's like, it's very like hotly debated, but Death Battle makes the episode anyway, and then there's a bit of spotlight on it, and then when it happens, it just happens, and then people accept it. Like, it's not going to be hell compared to what people are already saying about it, because yeah, there is a lot of heat over it already.
I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade or anything. It's just, you know, I'm kind of one of those people where it's just, there's been so much debate and so much anger thrown over both sides. You kind of don't want to go walk back in a war zone anymore.
No, yeah, I totally get it. We all have our own opinions. We're gonna get the enjoyment that each individual viewer gets from Death Battle is going to be different. For some people, they can't enjoy an episode if the outrage is too much, but for some people they can, and they look for other things, you know. So yeah, 100%. I guess before we move on, just one last thing really quickly, because I did bring it up at the beginning. Episode 200. Does anyone have any major ideas for that?
Ooh,
Give me Chief Slayer 2.
I feel like it's going to be a big matchup. It's going to be either it's going to be a super, super popular one, or they're going to do another run back.
Interesting. Zach, do you have
Or they could subvert expectations and do something like, you know, the Infinity Train versus the Snowpiercer Train or something. I don't know.
Or what was the one you were saying, Zach? Cocaine Bear versus...
Yeah, Cocaine Bear versus Meth Gator. I don't even think Meth Gator movie's out yet, so I've come up with a different matchup.
It'd be a great idea for episode 200.
Cocaine Bear versus Bad CGI Gator. That one's actually confirmed.
Surfing the alligator. Surfing the meth.
Yeah.
Surfing the meth gator.
I was gonna say though, for episode 200, this is massive cope, I know, but I think it could be a really fun idea to do Sackboy versus Max.
I do think that's a bit of cope. I think it, like, again, I don't know what the Tournament of Champions selection process was. I would love for it to happen in season 11, especially since I think both games turn like 15 years old or something in 2024. Like, that'd be so cool. Episode
You're making me feel old.
Episode 200 I think is a bit much, but I like the enthusiasm. True, how about you?
So I said obviously Chief Slayer 2, which I think is like the front runner. Everybody's like, yeah, if they do episode 200, it's Chief Slayer 2. Another big one that I want to bring up, since Death Battle has stopped caring as much about the show's ending, which is why I think we'll be eventually getting Luffy soon, but that's a different topic.
Sure.
I think there's a chance we get Ruby Maka now.
Okay. So here's my thoughts on this. I 100% agree with Ruby Maka. Not that it must happen, but I think it very well could. Because I do believe they have said it in one of the fireside chats that they think that the time is coming that they can start considering producing the episode. So it's not a guarantee, but I don't think it's off the table like it's been for a long time. Like, I think it's finally on the table. And I think it'd be a great idea for episode 200 as well. I will say, though, to counterpoint the other thing that True said, I don't really want another rematch. Like, I'd prefer if episode 200 stood apart from episode 100, and they just did something that, you know, people wanted to see, especially since we got Goku versus Superman 3. I don't even know if Death Battle would want to do another rematch 14 episodes later. That doesn't really sound like them to me, but again, they can do whatever they want, but I'd much prefer if it was something unique. Like, again, if they do want to do Simone versus Kyle this season, I think that could work for a finale or episode 200. I don't think anything like Bugs versus Mickey is necessary, even though it's like my most wanted now. The fact that we're already getting Wily versus Tom, I don't think Bugs versus Mickey is necessary as something like episode 200 anymore. But Ruby versus Maka, I think the stars could be aligning for it, personally.
Yeah, not to mention Ruby content as of late is kind of weird, in a weird spot.
Stagnant.
So,
That's the word you're looking for, I guess.
yeah. So it could be a pretty good time
Also,
to just get the episode out of the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, not an episode I think will be episode 200, but I feel like it would be something the comments would talk about if nobody brought it up. I think Luzanne is pretty likely.
Yeah.
Luzanne or Luzako? If only because
I don't think Luzako is likely.
It's Luzanne. It's going to be Luzanne for sure.
I would
It's
love
Luzanne. Let's stop coping.
I mean, I only said Luzako because Luzanne was in the tournament, and if they are barring everyone from the tournament,
But see,
they could very well
I
do
don't think they're
Luzako
barring-
to make
They're not barring
up
the
for that.
tournament.
no, I don't think they're doing it either. Again, we don't know for sure, and that's the annoying thing, but I think we could be expecting like 1-2 max from the tournament in season 11, and even that I think is being optimistic, but I don't think that they're ruled out. And it's not going to be like, oh, they look to see how well it did on the tournament and then choose it from that. It's going to be more like they were already planning it, and they just happen to throw it on the tournament after that. Like, that's more so where I'm thinking that could intersect. But again, we have no idea. And I guess a couple of other ones I want to throw out, because again, people might bring it up in the comments. Ash versus Yugi, I could see happening. Eren versus Ken, I could see happening now that the AOT anime is done.
Yeah.
Those are a
That's a
few.
good one.
Those are a few that, you know, I've heard some people talk about, and I could see them, especially Eren versus Ken. And this is a bit of cope as well, because it's now probably like in my top 5 most wanted matchups. But now that I've watched AOT, like I want it so bad now.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But of course, who knows? I just think it'd be really cool, and I think it would be really fitting.
I think it could have a shot in season 11, but I don't want to say that for sure. It was kind of like on that 50-50 boat, at least I think. That is Han Solo versus Captain Kirk.
Oh my god, I would love that. Yeah. Star Trek has been getting so much new content for the last few years, like, that I don't understand why. And they like Star Trek. I know Chad especially likes Star Trek. Like, I don't know why they haven't taken this opportunity to do it.
The only experience I have with Star Trek is falling asleep at the movie theaters watching one of the newer movies. Well, it wasn't even newer; it was like years and years ago. But
the new trilogy, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've watched so much Star Trek now. I've watched all the new stuff. I've watched, you know, the original series, Next Generation. I'm in the middle. Middle is very generous. I'm like season 2, I think, of Deep Space Nine. So no, I would love a Star Trek matchup. My only guess as to why they haven't done Kirk versus Solo yet is because they're prioritizing other Star Wars matchups. Even though I think they could have prioritized it over Boba Fett versus Predator, but whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to see it. The cast episode they did on it did very poorly in terms of views, which does worry me a bit, but I would love to see that episode.
Oh yeah. Not really a matchup, but in terms of new franchises getting into the season, I really feel like a big one could either be Elden Ring or Bloodborne. Considering the popularity that Chosenborn had, I feel like if they were to bring back another Souls-like from Software, I feel like it could be one of those two very easily. Both have some pretty good matchups. And,
interesting. That's another
great way to introduce new franchises in.
That's another one that I almost see, like, you know, could definitely be considered for like season 12. Like, maybe they might want to spread it out a little more. It really depends on how much they've already planned for season 11. But for something like possibly later in season 11, but certainly something like season 12, I think, yeah, they could definitely look back towards like Chosenborn success, even take stuff from like, you know, how well Guts versus Dimitri was received and Sauron versus Lich King. Like, I definitely think they could be using that as fuel. And that's part of why I think Ghidorah versus Deathwing could happen, because it was on the Champion Ballot. Sauron versus Lich King was very well received. Yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that.
I feel like Bloodborne would have the better chance of getting on than Elden Ring because it has a very different style. It's not Knights Medieval. It's very dark Victorian Gothic. And it's very different aesthetically compared to the other Souls games, and it has some nice matchups on there. Another one they could do, which has 2 very popular matchups, is for Sekiro.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Scorpion
really
Wolf.
Good matchups. Wolf versus Scorpion and Wolf versus William Adams are 2 pretty popular matchups. And it's also kind of a Souls game. It borrows elements, and it's made by the same people. Right. So I feel like Sekiro could have a pretty good chance of getting on, too, with either of his good matchups. Personally, I'd love to see Scorpion more than William, but that's just me.
Fair enough.
I like Hanzo more.
I like Scorpion. No, I'd like to see him make a return for sure.
Even if it's not Sekiro, I feel like with Mortal Kombat 1 coming out, a Mortal Kombat fight would be really cool to see in 11.
Oh yeah, well, we haven't gotten one of those like classic fighting game episodes in a while either, or a Mario episode. A lot of video games we got to get back to, but yeah, no, for sure. And that's another reason why I even brought up Ash versus Yugi or Eren versus Ken, because Death Battle every season likes to bring in not only new series, but it seems especially new anime that they haven't used before. And I think Tokyo Ghoul is a good opportunity. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is a good opportunity. And those are just 2 big ones that, you know, have been around for a little bit now. Just seems like they could happen. But of course, who knows? It's hard. Again, predictions are so hard. There's really not that much we can go off of for this. But that's the fun of it, right? As long as we don't get butt hurt and put too much faith in our predictions.
I want Sackboy versus Maxwell now.
So, dude, so do I. Trust me, so do I.
Question.
Yeah.
Well, just a fun question for all of you guys.
Sure.
If you could pick a franchise to premiere in Death Battle in season 11, what would it be? But it has to be one that hasn't been on before.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the easiest question for me of
All
my
right.
life. It's just
We'll
Plants
start with
vs.
you.
Zombies.
Okay, Plants vs. Zombies from True. What matchup would it be?
Oh, I know.
What do you think? Okay, for those who don't know, my most wanted Super Brains vs. Super Monkey.
Sorry,
I love it so much.
You were cutting
It's
out a
my
little bit.
love.
Can you say that again for those in the back?
Oh, that is... that is so unlucky. Super Brains vs.
You cut
No,
out.
you cut out
Super
again.
Brains
It's the
vs.
exact same
Zombie.
You
time.
cut out again.
No way. Why now? Why
It's
now?
always at Brains.
Okay,
Okay.
say it very slow and clear.
It's always a... Okay, my most wanted Super Brains versus Super Monkey.
Okay, good enough.
Plants vs.
pretty
Zombies
interesting
versus Balloons Tower Defense.
Mm-hmm.
That could be really interesting. It's very unconventional, but I don't think it has no merit to get on.
Oh yeah, no.
It's,
Oh, I think it does have... I think it has no merit. I'm pretty sure Sam literally said he didn't care about these franchises on a...
Okay, to be fair, that's just one guy though. We don't know about everyone else.
Liam could
I don't know
secretly
anybody
love
on
the
the
episode.
team.
You don't know.
I think Liam was on that exact same one with Sam, and I think he was also like, yeah, these are popular franchises. Yeah, that's about it.
For me,
I'm not
okay,
optimistic.
well, regardless of Super Brains versus Super Monkey specifically or not, like again, I think these very wild card matchups, I think any individual one has a chance. Like Death Battle has surprised us before, but again, you know, if we put that one in, then it's like, oh well, that might kind of... There are other matchups like it that kind of might be disqualified because they don't want to put too many of them in a single season because they can't get too weird, right? They still have to do what's popular most of the time. And it's when people start saying, oh yeah, I think this matchup's going to be in, and this matchup, and this matchup, and they're all like super obscure, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe one of them. I don't think you should be expecting all of them, you know, that kind of thing. Anyway, Sack, how about you? What's like a big franchise you really want, you would like in season 11?
I would be a huge fan if Dead by Daylight got an episode.
Oh my god.
And I know that sounds very obscure, but like, I don't know. I feel like Dead by Daylight has somewhat of a chance on Death Battle. It's not like very likely, but there are a few matchups from that game I do like involving their original characters. The big two being Leatherface versus Hillbilly, and Tarhos or the Knight versus Apollyon from For Honor. And
those would be really cool.
I think they're really cool. Dead by Daylight's a game that I really like and have a lot of fun with. So I have no argument other than I just want to see it because I like Dead by Daylight.
No, I think that'd be very interesting. There is something I kind of keep going back to, which is like, you know, I could see them doing this type of game or this type of series, but there might be other series that fall within that type that I just see them doing first. Like, I kind of imagine, like, you know, a Last of Us matchup might be more prioritized than that. Like, they might want to do that first. I don't know if that's a popular opinion, but like something like Clementine versus Ellie or that kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I definitely think that kind of series could get on Death Battle. It's just also when people suggest like a really like a cartoon matchup that has characters that came out like a long time ago, I'm thinking like, yeah, they could definitely do it. I don't know if they would do it before Luzanne though, you know? It's just that kind of thing we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
What about you, Raptor? What franchise would you like to see on Death Battle that hasn't been on there before?
Well, I did make a whole video on this where I took like a specific franchise from each kind of medium, each major medium that Death Battle uses. My very easy go-to answer is Star Trek, because again, like I said earlier, I adore that whole series. Not all of it's good, but I still adore it. I think there are some really fun characters. Like I think Kirk versus Solo would be awesome. Q versus Mr. Miggs' Pitlick. That'd be so much fun. It's like Bill versus Discord again, which I don't think is a bad thing in this case. And yeah, other matchups like that, I think, with Star Trek. Also, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think that'd be so cool. There's a big Buffy versus Umbrella Academy matchup that I want, which, again, I feel like it has no chance whatsoever. Partially because I think the characters aren't well known enough, but also because one of those characters has another matchup that is probably more likely anyway, so that kind of just adds insult to injury. But I think Buffy would be cool. I think Umbrella Academy would be cool. But I think, my number one is Star Trek. I think I can say that for sure.
All right, I'll
Star
go.
Trek is a good one.
I have a few, and I've been thinking about it. Just my number one franchise I want to see on Death Battle is Undertale. It's kind of
fair.
It's
real. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they would look at it, regardless of the matchup. Sunset versus Kara, Sans versus Judge, Frisk versus Steven Universe. I heard once. I don't know how I feel about that.
I've heard Frisk versus Ness a little more.
Frisk versus.
I think they're doing. They're 100% doing. If they're. Well, it's. I don't think they do batter for Frisk. I think they 100% do Ness if they bring on Frisk.
Yeah, but it'd be a really interesting series for them to look at, and it's pretty popular too. And I just feel like it could be really good for the view counts, and just the animation alone would be really interesting to see how they would interpret Undertale's fighting and how that would translate to a visual medium, because it's been done before in fan animations.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be the curiosity alone, I feel like would be a pretty good factor for it.
Oh, and speaking of indie games, Ori versus the Knight, I still would love to see that.
That'd be interesting.
I'd love to see it. It's one of my friends' most wanted.
Cool.
And I would be very happy for him. I don't know, whenever in 5 million years Silk Song comes out, maybe.
Well, that's another one. I keep forgetting that one was also on the Champion Ballot, which does kind of suck because I feel like other matchups are clearly more likely than it. But I would still like it. I would still like to see it. And of course, Death Battle's going to be going on for so long from this point.
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to run out of material. We'll just have to wait for some of these.
Run out of material,
yeah. So, well,
I think my issue is that I don't want to do a doom and gloom post about Death Battle, but currently with Rooster Teeth not being in the greatest spot, currently both Louise and DJ are still waiting on contracts, being the animation director and the lead editor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the greatest spot. I still think Death Battle will be fine and have a few more seasons in it, but I think we should maybe be preparing for if worse comes to worse.
I think we could be cautious, but I don't think we can say anything for sure yet. It's very easy for Louise or DJ to just turn around and say, I got the contract, and then everyone will be like, oh yeah, Death Battle's gonna happen for 100 more years. I think we should be cautious, but don't jump to conclusions just yet.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah, either way, I understand that for sure. And one thing this isn't really related to Season 11. I guess it could be related to Season 11. But part of the reason why, I hate to say this, but part of the reason why I think Death Battle Season 10 was so good is because they didn't do DBX or Death Race or Desk of Death Battle on top of that, which is so sad for me to say because I do enjoy those series when they come out. But I'm going to be honest, if we want another season like Season 10, I think the play is to just work on it and don't work on anything else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if I'm gonna be real, Desk of Death Battle coming back was neat, but it wasn't that great. I wasn't a huge fan of the new Desk of Death Battle season. It was fine. It was there. I think they should focus more on the main show currently.
Not to mention, if we want to see more of Ringmaster and Jocelyn, they could easily bring them in just for gags and for actual host stuff. It'd be actually pretty interesting to see an episode hosted by Ringmaster and Jocelyn.
Well, they were doing that a little bit. I know Ringmaster popped up in Harley versus Jinx analyses. I know Jocelyn was all over the place in Trunks versus Silver. I think if they could do more of that, I think that would be fine. Keep the characters around, but just put them in different applications.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it'd be really funny to see them actually host an entire episode, like no Wiz, no Boomstick, just them. That'd be really funny.
It was interesting to see Jocelyn and Dummy be the only ones talking about like Macho Man versus Kool-Aid Man at the end. Like it was literally just them doing the conclusion.
Yeah,
There's one thing I could say. It's I really want more horror matchups on Death Battle, and not just saving them for Halloween episodes, but like there are other scary holidays and scary points in the year I feel could make for great horror matchups, and I just would like more of them on.
What's your most wanted horror matchup?
Sadako versus Slenderman. I feel like Ringu would be awesome, and Slenderman would be really neat to analyze. Just because of how he is.
Slenderman would be a headache and a half to like try to make sure you're getting all the information, but I do agree that would be fun.
It does help he has an established canon.
That's good. That definitely helps to a degree.
Like a lot of those more in the line between fan creation and official kind of like SCP would be a great example. They struggle from a lack of what is canon, and Slenderman really is lucky to have an official canon that they can draw from. And it's not just one or two things. He's got his forum posts, he's got the 2 games, he's got the movie apparently I heard is canon, which sucks, but you know, he just has a few other things that I feel like would make him more applicable to be a combatant than other characters.
If anything, he'd be like a good transition character to like start with someone a little easier, and then they kind of like open the door for characters that are like more deep in that kind of issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
If we're on the topic of like horror franchise, like not obscure per se, more so like unique. There is one horror series that I've been really digging recently, and that's it's a fairly obscure one, not really popular enough to be on Death Battle yet. I feel like with time it might be, but there's a really good analog horror series that I like called Vita Carnis. I like it mostly because the world building I feel is probably one of the most unique, not in just any horror series, but in any story period. And it's also got some really disturbing elements to it. I won't spoil anything, but just know it's really, like, it can get really heavy at times, and it's pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It'd
be interesting to see how they would do analog horror.
I don't think they're gonna do analog horror unless they do one analog matchup that anybody cares about, being Nick's Hatton. I don't want to say like cares about, because that's not true. People love all sorts of indie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people.
But
who
I'm
like
saying the only one that would happen for Death Battle,
or at least
would
first,
have to be Nick's Hatton, and even then, first, if it somehow did happen, which I know Liam likes it, but I don't think that's enough merit to say, yeah, no, we're getting Nick.
No, you misunderstand. Liam is the ultimate decision maker for Death Battle. Whatever he says goes.
Yeah, that's why we're getting like Columbo next season.
Or if not, the season after that. Or if not, the season after that.
It's all dependent on when Liam wants to surprise us fans.
I never understood Nick's Hatton for the longest time. When I first heard the matchup, I thought, wait, Richard Nixon from Futurama? And I was like, how is a head in a jar like Dr. Manhattan?
Bro, it works, trust me.
Oh, totally.
I'm still watching. I decided that I wanted to watch Monument Mythos. It's pretty good. I'm gonna watch all of it when the vlog gets to Nick's Hatton, which I know one of them is. So that's cool.
What's something I've been watching? I guess I finished. Did anyone else see the new Percy Jackson show?
No, how is it?
But I want to.
I've heard mixed things on it. I thought it was fun. I thought it's definitely a more fun adaptation, like a more true adaptation to the books. Not everything is perfect. I think one of the biggest downsides of it is that it doesn't really try with the action scenes very much, and it usually just uses action scenes as a way to push the plot forward. Which, don't get me wrong, action scenes should still do that, but they should also be well done action scenes. But other than that, like I think it was a fun watch. I think the guy that plays Percy, I saw him in the Adam Project a few years back, and I really liked him there. And I think he does a pretty good job as Percy. And yeah, it's a fun time. Not the perfect show. I think my dad and my brother probably liked it more than I did, but I still thought it was fun.
I just know if we ever get Percy Jackson on Death Battle, now they have something something for footage to use other than the god-awful movies.
Well, yeah, that definitely helps, from an incentive standpoint for that. And Percy has so many matchups. Percy has so many matchups. They can really just go with whatever they want, and someone's going to be happy, and many people are going to be upset, no matter who they choose.
Oh yeah,
Real.
he's got Harry, he's got Zagreus, he's got Lapis. I've heard Aang is a matchup for him.
Zagreus, I think.
Why'd you?
Zagreus.
Yeah, why did you say it like that? You said Zagreus, and I'm like,
I've
just
never
now
played
as a
the
Hades
game,
player.
Just say Zag.
I've never.
I have. Hades is
Zag.
good. Hades
I've
is
heard
good.
it's good.
I am not a big rogue. I'm not a big roguelike and roguelite guy. There we go.
Roguelike, a Star Wars story.
Roguelite. Yeah, but no, I'm not big into those games. I've learned, but Hades is very good. I've only beaten it once. I know we've kind of moved past the topic. We probably should have said something about Invincible. Basically,
Oh my God.
Yes. Gwen versus Eve, that's one of my top predictions for this season at this point.
Omni-Man versus Pink Diamond for me. I know they'd probably want to bring in another character, but if they did bring Omni-Man back, I really like Pink Diamond more than Bardock, honestly.
I think for Invincible, it's going to be either Gwen versus Eve, or I think that's the main one for me, or a matchup with Mark himself. Even though I don't really want any of them.
The only Mark matchup I really like is Hot Rod from Transformers.
I feel like maybe I just don't. I feel like maybe I just don't know enough about Hot Rod. My first instinct is just I don't know, but maybe if I look more into it, maybe that'd be interesting. I guess
he's like, in the the Transformers movie, like the big animated movie they had.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime. So spoilers. Optimus Prime dies in it, and Hot Rod is like his successor.
Okay.
They literally did that because Hasbro wanted to phase out Optimus Prime toys for more different toys, and so they told the people making G1 to make the movie and introduce a new character to sell more toys.
Yeah.
And everyone hated it so much.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That they ended up retconning it.
It's like when they tried to
in
kill
the
off
cartoon.
Goku.
Yeah, that stuff's not going to work. Even if you think from a monetary perspective or a certain perspective, it could work. All other perspectives are going to come crashing down on you. It's not going to work, There's going to be some problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, granted, without the movie, we wouldn't have Unicron, I don't think, but...
I guess for kind of still on the superhero topic, we know Marvel vs. DC is coming back twice or three times. I'm still thinking Mysterio versus Scarecrow has a decent chance, but I said that last year, so what do I know? I would like Deathstroke versus Taskmaster, but I don't know if I have a good reason to believe it's gonna happen this year. I just know they just did 3 fights with heroes, and I'd like to see more villains. Death Battle doesn't usually like to do just villains. It's either just heroes or heroes and villains. But I'd like to see more villains. I think that'd be fun.
Oh yeah.
This is why they do Sandman versus Clayface.
That one would be awesome. Another one I feel like that I've seen that's rising up in popularity, and they can easily do it. Getting the Batman Who Laughs On would be awesome. And if you want a Marvel matchup for him, he has Dreadpool. Which I think is really awesome.
That one's really good.
Do people know Dreadpool?
Well, I mean, they probably know if Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. And that's the Deadpool from that.
I think Annihilus versus Larfleeze would be cool, but I admit that I'm just saying that from the perspective of I like comics and I know they could talk about some really interesting things. In terms of it being a worthwhile matchup that would get them views. Yeah, I don't know if I can make the same argument there, but I do think that would be fun. I guess a good way we can do this is commemorations, but the problem is that so much has been pushed back, especially in Marvel. At first I was thinking Blade versus Buffy, that could commemorate the Blade movie. That's not happening this year either. Captain America versus Ichigo I still think could happen because, it's really popular and it might be too hard to change things around, but a big reason I had for that was because Captain America 4 was coming out this year and now it's not, so that might throw a bit of a wrench in it. It's hard to say.
Apparently, I heard some rumors.
I think if we want to do commemorations,
Kraven would be cool to see. Another symbiote matchup would be awesome because of the new Spider-Man game that came out.
There's also Venom 3. That's this year as well, too.
Yeah. Getting another symbiote matchup on would be really cool. I'm not sure what matchups there are, but There's a lot of symbiote fever
That's the
going
issue.
around.
Is like, who do you do?
I'd say Null. I think Null is the
See,
next.
the issue is
the
that
next
Null
best
would
one.
be awesome.
But like, I don't see anybody being like, yes, I really want Null on Deathmatch.
I see some people.
Null,
I see
big
some
Null
people.
fan in the crowd.
I see some people are like Null versus Barbados, Null
yeah.
versus Necron, not like some of them.
Heard of Null versus
Null versus
Madoka.
Madoka.
Yeah, oh my god. You owe me a
So-
soda, Drew.
When are we
I
getting?
feel like if they
Venom
want to go
versus
the
Bane
Null
2?
route, they could just do King and Black Venom.
Yeah.
I know Venom being back a
Hey,
third
Venom,
time
yeah,
sounds like
he'd be cool.
pain, but
Yeah,
at least
but-
it's a different one.
Yes,
It's a
I
different Venom, and Kate's Venom is very different from normal Venom.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be good enough to, Ooh, if we're going Marvel versus DC, that just reminded me. It'd be cool if we got another street level fight. I wouldn't have to say it's do it live action. And I know he appeared in season 8, but bringing Red Hood back to fight the Punisher, I think, would be really cool.
that was season 7. Sorry, just had to bring that up.
Season 7, yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that. That'd be interesting. More street again. That's why I say Deathstroke versus Taskmaster, because to me that is like
Yeah.
all street level characters rolled into one, which I think is funny.
I think we just need to say this one. Ghost Rider spawns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one would be awesome to see.
clearly, yeah.
Ghost Rider hasn't been on. It'll be 6 seasons since Ghost Rider's been on now.
5
Good to
seasons.
see him back. 5 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, and it's why I didn't. It's why I didn't really give a matchup for Kate's Venom, because his one matchup that like most people would say is Spawn. Unfortunately, Ghost Rider is the more popular option by a lot.
Yeah.
I like Ghost Rider versus Spawn a lot.
Ghost Rider versus Spawn would be really cool. But just keeping on street level matchups, I feel like would be really cool because we've got a lot of cosmic matchups and they've been really cool. It's just it kind of gets boring seeing the universe implode on itself for the 50th time.
Oh no. Give me the destruction.
Never.
But I just feel like if you want a good street level fight, I feel like, oh shoot, what's his name? The kid from My Hero with the engines out of his legs. Ida. Ida versus A-Train would be a really cool fight. It's street level speedsters, but I feel like that'd be really cool to see and do. Cause like all the speedsters we've got, they're
Ida have a
awesome, but it's
girlfriend?
just
It would definitely be cool from like a limitations perspective, like seeing like where they cap and how that comparison is. I think some people might see that as a bit of a disadvantage. Like they might be like, oh well, why'd we do this speedster fight when you could have done this one instead, which could have shown way cooler visuals. But from an analysis perspective, I do agree that would be different and it would be interesting.
yeah, and it's just you know what, you do want definitely a break. If you don't want every speedster fight to be a Flash versus another guy who's going to get destroyed or destroy Flash. You don't want it to be too cosmic, is what I'm saying, and I feel like a break from that while still maintaining the speedster, vibe they have would be really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Just seeing some stuff more low on the totem pole is just kind of what I want for season 11.
Yeah.
I'd like to see another live action episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really thought there was going to be one in season 9. Like well, aside from the fact that Jason versus Michael was very much was not confirmed, but it was very highly speculated, and then it did happen. I swear there was a tweet where Death Battle was teasing that they could work with Ismahawk again, and it's been now 2 seasons, and they still haven't done it. So I'm confused. I maybe they wanted to trick us, because they certainly tricked me if they did.
What matchups would they do for a live action fight, though?
Let's try to stay away
Never
from Marvel and
Batman one?
DC, because
Hopefully not Marvel and DC.
yeah, let's try to get something a little
The
different.
only one that really comes to mind is Patrick Bateman versus Arthur Fleck.
That's still technically DC.
I feel like they should.
Oh,
I feel like
shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah,
No,
if
wait,
we
no.
wanted to-
Obviously, Cocaine Bear versus Meth Gator, live action.
What are they gonna do? Get a real
Real.
gator and a real bear and make them fight?
Fiction, yes.
Drugs first.
Oh god. Hey, the fight isn't even animated or
That's-
with choreographed. It's just they stick a camera in front of the animals and let them live.
Yeah, the practicality.
Yeah.
Peter,
That would be horrible.
Peter,
I'm sorry.
Peter over Death Battle showing. Yeah, no, they would never do anything.
Oh,
like
did I
that,
tell
so
you guys
that's why I
about?
don't think we're ever getting like an IRL.
Did I tell you about that dream I had where before Stitch versus Rocket came out, I got arrested for liking Stitch versus Rocket by Space PETA. I swear to God, I had that dream literally before the episode came out.
Space PETA.
Wow. Space PETA.
PETA.
PETA?
Speaking of, well, I guess, adjacent to it, Peter Griffin recently came out in Fortnite, and they got me thinking, what if they did Jonesy? Just on the off chance, what if they did Jonesy for Season 11?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
They bring back Booster Gold so early.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Yeah, 'cause,
surprised.
like, that's his best opponent, I think, and it'd be really cool to see Booster Gold come back. Oh, I'm sorry, Raptor.
I don't know. It's okay. I wouldn't be surprised if Jonesy is kind of like the way Death Battle starts with Fortnite, because a lot of people are saying, like, well, this character's in Fortnite, that means he solos fiction or whatever. And I feel like with Jonesy,
No.
you can't really have those kinds of arguments, because it's not like he comes from another series. Like, he comes from Fortnite. So it's a lot easier for everyone to agree on how to analyze him, or at least easier than any other Fortnite character that technically originated from somewhere
I could
else.
easily explain.
Okay.
Okay, Fortnite characters who originate from somewhere else should not get the scaling. I don't know why we are in this argument.
No.
Most of these characters have never been confirmed to be canon within the realm of Fortnite. It's just Marvel and maybe DC.
Dude, I agree with you literally 100%. I am so confused as to why it's even, like, a conversation. Like, I don't get why this is something... Because I think there was, like, one thing that kind of hinted to the fact that it was canon for everyone, and I
Yes,
think someone,
so-
like, ran with it.
I can explain that as well. So
Okay.
basically, there's this giant orb called the 0 Point. In one of the DC comics, it is implied that it created, and at least from what I'm understanding, all of fiction, which, no, even if you wanted to say that's what it did, you can't do that. I don't think anyone, I don't think Warner Bros, I don't think any company's like, yeah, no, I agree, Fortnite created my verse in the game at all. No, I agree with this. So, like, you can't do that. I still think the Fortnite cosmology is incredibly huge because it's versus jargon, it's an omniverse or whatever. So it's still crazy. But if we wanted to get into, like, Fortnite's game, which I know we don't have a lot of time, but I do think they should just look at the Marvel and maybe the DC stuff for scaling. And then they should also obviously look at the game where Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson held together the multiversal orb.
Right. I mean, if we look at Hercules versus Sun Wukong and Black Adam versus Apocalypse, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has not had the best track record as of late.
No.
They killed him
Yeah,
twice, and I will forgive them.
He's gonna get the Shadow the Hedgehog treatment, where he's gonna come back for a third episode and kick ass.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring in Peacemaker, and he's gonna slaughter.
No, but
That's John Cena.
just John Cena.
So I'm stupid.
Anyway, this has gone on a little longer than I expected, not gonna lie. But that's good. It's good that we've had so much to talk about. I think Fortnite is a good place to start winding things down.
Fortnite's a great place.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. I guess one more thing, just we'll go around, give like your major predictions for Season 11, just to kind of sum it up. Like just shout out the matchups that you really think have a chance. So Fiction, we'll start with you.
All right, so for the matchups I really think are going to happen,
Yeah.
there's definitely, I think, going to be JoJo, whether that be Funny Valentine versus Armstrong or Joker versus Giorno.
All right.
I really think that's going to happen. Those are my predictions.
Okay, Sack, how about you?
I think they're going to bring Sonic back in some form, considering he's getting a new movie next year. I'm hoping it's not Bowser versus Eggman, sadly, but I wouldn't be opposed to Archie Knuckles versus Juggernaut.
Interesting.
Ooh,
Okay.
that would be cool.
True? You?
Joker, Giorno, whether it be Joker, Giorno, Makoto Neku,
Kira Adachi?
Constantine Raidou,
Yes, Kira versus
Kira
Adachi.
Adachi, Kira Adachi, but that one I think is a bit farther off.
Just throwing it out because it's another JoJo's persona.
Yeah, and then just if we're just looking at the JoJo's matchups, maybe they'll want to do Joseph for some reason, but the obvious one is like Valentine Armstrong, and then for anything else, I think Luzanne.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I guess my big one's probably Joker versus Giorno. That's probably like I'm leaning more towards that one. Captain America, Kamen Rider Ichigo, Gwen, Adam Eve. I'm still very much thinking that. Ken versus Eren, and then I guess to add one more, I'll just say like Sly versus Lupin. But just to say stuff that's different from you guys. Like and I'll say Ruby versus Maka. That would still be my first guess for episode 200, but who knows.
Oh wait, I forgot to mention it. Obligatory Armored Core for Death Battle reference.
Ah. Why is it obligatory, you say?
I don't know, because I wanted to mention it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll find a good spot to plot it down, and I forgot about it.
You had so much time!
I know, and it's like, I really should bring up my favorite matchup for Armored Core. It's Rayner versus Rescue. But, like, there was other cool stuff to put in my head.
You could have brought that up when I said Ken versus Eren.
I know, but you were going on a tangent about it, and I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I talked too much.
No, you're cool. No. That's just on me. I'm like, yeah, I really like this matchup too. Wait, what was I thinking about? But
we're all goldfish here.
Cool. I feel like getting Mecha stuff back on would be really cool.
Nice. But yeah, this has been a great talk. Thank you guys so much for being on the cast with me. I appreciate it. And thank you guys who's watching so much for watching. If this is the kind of thing that you're interested in, let us know. I might bring some other mods on, maybe some other members in the Discord if I like them enough. And we'll talk about other things, other death battle stuff, other random stuff, because clearly this just goes off the wall, off the rails, but I do kind of like that. But yeah, thank you guys. You have any final words really quick you want to say?
Scribble my little big knot.
Yeah, 100.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Scribble my little big knot sack.
Right.
Yeah.
100 likes, Raptor will play Fortnite.
I never said that.
You gotta hold on to it now.
Ah, shit.
No. Just be safe, stay happy, and I guess we'll see you dudes later.
Yeah, it's a great outro. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Oh yeah, that was really interesting.
Sorry, what was that? All right, I'll probably edit this part out. Anyway.